Hey there, guys. Nolen and Jason here with Roofing Webmasters.
Howdy.
And DataPins.
Yeah. Back after our summer hiatus.
Yeah, it's been a little while, so we'll try to get into one. I get this like daily. So the topic is how your address impacts Google Map rankings for roofers. How your address impacts Google Map
this
rankings.
is a constant question.
It's almost daily.
Yeah.
So I had a guy, I think he was in Florida on the coast. And he was in a little spot that he liked. I can't even remember. Yulee, maybe. Yeah. Yulee was right here. I'll talk about him as I
Where is Yulee?
It was, Yulee and San Bernardino was on the coast. It was a little strip, San Bernardino Beach.
Okay.
And he was over here, Yulee's here, and then North Jacksonville here. He works this little less populated area, but he likes North Jacksonville a little bit. And he'd been talking to people, and I guess I'll explain this to people, and it seems pretty simple, but it's basically wherever the red dots show up is where you can show up today.
Right.
But people don't ever really tend to think it through to that you could just type in roofer, I think it's Y-U-L-E, I don't know, in Yulee, or roofer in San Bernardino Beach, or roofer in Jacksonville. And so he wanted just the top of Jacksonville. I was like, well, it doesn't really work that way. Right. In fact, if you typed in roofer in Jacksonville FL, it wouldn't show outside the second loop. So there's a tight loop inside, and there's another loop. And then,
what he means by the red dot, by the way, is when you're looking at a map, the center, the geographical center.
The red dot, I mean, is where they're showing roofers.
Right.
The red dots of roofers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
Yeah, my bad. So if somebody just types in roofer in Dallas or a suburb, like roofer in Rockwall, then, if you want population, they're typically going to show somebody in Rockwall roofers.
Right.
They don't typically dip that into Dallas. In Dallas, they don't dip into Rockwall, but there's a lot more people in Dallas, right? So. Right. They didn't even show the full metro of Jacksonville. And so since about 2005 to now, I remember back in the day here in Dallas-Fort Worth, you could type in roofer in Fort Worth and it would show you roofers all the way to Dallas and even
across the whole, what we call the metroplex.
Whole metroplex. And then as time goes on, it's gotten smaller, but it's fantastic. So people are like, oh, roofers especially, oh, I want to show up here, I want to show up there. Well, you get a lot for what you can get. However, if you screw up where you put your map or where you are, it can cause problems.
Right.
If you want to know where you can show up, instead of a salesperson telling you where they tell you they can show up, because that's what everybody does. And most of the people that call me tell me that someone's told them, hey, I've got, someone told me they could get me in PAC 3 map ranking. I said, for where? And they'll say, well, we want to show up here, 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 and here. And I'll say, where are you located? And they'll say, well, I'm here. I'm in Rockwall, Texas. But I really like to work Frisco. And I'm like, okay, so if you're in Rockwall, he said, well, somebody told me they could get me up there, Nolen. Can you match it? Can you do it? And so they'll kind of come at me like that. And I said, well, let's look at what Google's doing today. And type in roofer in Rockwall, and they'll say, well, you see that's the red dots are where they're showing roofers today.
Right.
And those red dots aren't in Frisco. They'll tend to show people in Frisco roofers because they think it's more relevant to search. It's a better Google user benefit.
Right.
So, but roofers hate this, by the way.
Oh, so, yeah, because they want to show up everywhere.
I mean, you might be in Heath or a little further out or even further out. And you're like, well, I chose to live in the country away from the evils of the rat race. And I was like, well, that's great.
Except there's no people there.
Except there's
therefore there's no roofs.
There's no roofs out there. So you can't, and so, there's so much to this topic. You don't want to go get fake addresses. You might move to a light industrial space. And this is not me. People will get so upset with me about it. I'm like, I'm just telling you what Google says. So
yeah, we're telling you what really works, not what will make you sign up today.
Yeah. So if you want to you probably can get what you want where you are and do quite well, most likely. So if somebody wanted to move, let's say that's a good example, from Rockwall, which that's a good one too, but let's say they want to go from Rockwall to Frisco. They might actually get a light industrial space with a man door and an overhead door where they can put a decal on the door, and it could be manned, and sometimes is manned.
Right.
I think technically it's supposed to be manned.
Yeah, there's supposed to be at least someone there to answer phones.
But you don't have to, I mean, if you have a residential address, if you have a P.O. box or a fake P.O. box, y'all know what I'm talking about. People try to get
virtual
around
office. What is that company? The Da Vinci Spaces.
Regis and Da Vinci. And people say, well, how do they know? I said, well, they map the whole world, so they know.
They know everything.
Yeah. And so, well, I know a guy who gets away with it. And it's like, well, you very few get away with it.
He's probably been getting away with it for years. And he's grandfathered in, or he's never made a change and they haven't noticed.
They haven't noticed, but he could lose it
anytime.
At any time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know a guy, I remember a story. We had a guy in Fort Collins, Colorado, went from about $6 million a year. This was pre-COVID too, by the way, so call it 10.
Yeah.
And he went from $6 million a year down to $1.5 million when he lost his address. And he was doing payola, like Starbucks cards for reviews. And somebody got a hold of it, sent it in, and he lost it. Never got it back. He actually did get it back with all the reviews, but it was like they nullified it, and it was like 3 pages back. So, which was like 38, number 38. He fell out of pack 3.
Yeah.
So the point is, do you really want to go falsify addresses to Google and have this house of cards built on sand? So.
And I mean, we still get clients asking about doing that. So, can I get 3 or 4 other locations? It's like, well, you can get 3 or 4 other legitimate locations. Absolutely. If you want to go out there and buy office space or rent office space and it's legitimate. We had one not too long ago, said, yeah, I got one. And then it was a Da Vinci space.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a Da Vinci space. I told you this wouldn't work.
Did you try it? I mean, we'll try it,
Yeah. No, it wouldn't go through.
Wouldn't go through.
It didn't go through.
You tried it?
Yeah. We tried to verify it in there.
It's not like we're Boy Scouts.
And Google came back and said, oh, we want pictures of permanent outdoor signage.
Yeah.
Not like sticker on the door. That most of the time won't work anymore. As soon as, once they get to the point of doing a visual verification,
right,
you're probably screwed unless it's legit.
Yeah.
And they're doing that more and more.
I had a guy arguing with me about how to get around it, but it's Google's rules. It's not a law.
Yeah.
There's some things
it's their rules for their platform. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, no shoes, no shirt, no service. So I would say this though on this topic to go back is that we did sign that guy up. By the way, I believe that guy signed up, but he's got a lot that he can get where he is. Most people don't realize that they're not showing up for much, and they'll say, I'm showing up or I'm not. I'm like, for what? Like, you can show up for hundreds of more keywords. You can have more pages of content that'll make the Google map show up better. You can use DataPins that'll make the map show up better. But people will lie to them, say, well, if I get pins in another city, 15 minutes away, then I show up in that map. And I'm like, no, the red dots never jump over. You never see an outlier just like whoop, where they expand the map and show somebody.
Yeah.
But this is the lie that people will tell them. So most of the time they can expand where they are, be very happy. And
you can get some organic, not
I was
in the
about
map
to talk
pack,
about it.
but
I was about to
you
talk
can get
about
organic reach for that, but map pack is much more restricted.
So 100% of all roofers that I've talked to in the last 5 years thinks that anything besides map pack does not exist and is irrelevant. They think that the page content to the website or the keywords that show up under the map, or if the map doesn't show up, is literally irrelevant and almost no click traffic whatsoever.
Right.
And it's actually half or more of click traffic. So it's if organic's done properly, it's more than mapping. Even though mapping expanded to the organic page content that clicks through the website is huge. Expanded
by a word just went out of my head. Equal amount or proportionate amount. So if it's 25, if the organic was always 60% of the traffic, if your mapping increased by 50%, the organic is going to also increase by that proportional amount.
Yeah, so
If
people
it's done
can get
properly.
a huge, this guy's going to have a page for Jacksonville, a page for Yulee, a page for,
Right.
so we got all that content in there and all that stuff set up. It's actually one I've got to enter in. That's the one I need to enter in.
Okay, yeah, you told me about.
He's a cool guy, very cool guy. But he's going to get a lot of activity from that, from all of that being set up properly. Tons of availability within that. He did not want to move over to another area. The consideration is there for it. Now, I had a guy too talk about doing map pages, or he was having 3 locations. 2 were, the 2 that he was going to add were residential, and so you don't want to take a nice performing Google business profile map account that's at a legitimate Google legitimate address like light industrial or office space that is real, and then start popping fake addresses, because they might actually suspend all of them.
Yeah. Well, if they're all under the same account, they will. They'll.
They used to do it.
Yeah,
It's
they'll
horrible.
do the whole account.
Yeah, it's scary.
Nolan Walker here for DataPins. You may not know, but I own a software company, and we have a proprietary software called DataPins, DATAPINS. You can search it at datapins.com. This is not white labeled. I actually own this piece of software, and I made it for you. It was made for contractors. You can actually take pictures of jobs, up to 6, make a caption about the material, the brand, the situation, the repairs, and post that back to your individual pages on your website, just like that. It's super simple. Anyone could use it. It also texts and emails your clients direct links to your reviews, so it helps reputation and reviews, which helps conversion and map placement. The geo coordinate gets grabbed by DataPins, and Google can tell where you are. So instead of them just seeing reviews, they see all jobs or even estimates that you do. This vastly outperforms just getting reviews. Helps the map show up, helps organic keywords. And remember, those captions that you're putting in there help expand the keywords per page, and it's great regular content. I love it. We made it just for you. It is organic optimization on steroids for both your website, your rankings, and the map placement. Check out DataPins. I think you'll be happy you did.
I'll wrap up some of this. I mean, this is a big deal, frustrating for people. Showing up in maps is fantastic. We have all kinds of things to help expand where you are. Some of the biggest problems that people do is that you can get so much more than you already have. They go, I used to be up there, now I'm not. I enjoyed it while I was up there. So what could be way better?
Yeah.
So you can get more than what you have. And stay where you're at. You can expand off of organic with proper city pages, service pages, better website. Things like data pins where you're literally pinning where you are. The pins can pin to other cities outside, but they can't make Google change mapping parameters for you.
Yeah, to kind of clarify what you said before when you said red dot, when someone searches on the map, the red dot for your business shows in the location of your business at the actual address. And if that's too far from the center of where they search, you don't show in mapping.
Right.
Unless there's not enough businesses to fill the map pack in a certain area, then they'll show a bigger map to include you. But that's only if you're out somewhere rural and you don't have much
He
competition.
doesn't really exist anymore.
So, yeah.
Now, even in this spot where he was more rural outside of Jacksonville, they're not expanding that far.
Yeah.
Really.
No, I'm just saying it'll
I was
sometimes
surprised
show
that they
more.
got all of what they got. He got a pretty nice little spread, really. I was
Yeah.
kind of happy with how much mapping he was getting, because it was a little less populated. But those red dots, when I'm talking about, you just go look in your city and pop it in. And I guess if you want more, then move to a legitimate address and do business there, and don't go popping fake addresses up or getting another one that's a cheesy fake address. Actually take the one you have and move it legitimately. Now, if you do this wrong, you could lose everything you have.
Yeah.
So
be careful of any changes you make. They're getting more picky every year on this.
yeah, so that's my disclaimer. Don't blame it on me if you lose your map rankings entirely.
And I know it sucks, but don't use your house. Get a real office.
Yeah, if you're moving
We're getting more and more pushback on using residential addresses even for service businesses.
from Google all the time. I don't do them as much, so I don't hear this unless you tell me. But I know that Google said don't use homes years ago at this point. I think
they've started, they've done the thing that you always do. They tell you 10 years ago, stop doing this. And then as the years go by, they crank in and get more and more
They
strict.
oddly told us during COVID when everyone went home to work.
Yeah.
It was during 2020. Do you remember that? It's like, seriously? And then they didn't
doing
do
this
anything.
now?
Yeah, then they didn't do anything about it. So now they're cranky
Yeah.
on it. It just means that they're trying to show relevant businesses to people that are searching locally. And they think that if you're too far away, you're not as relevant to search. And there's so many roofers next to that person searching that they're not going to show you if you're too far away.
Right.
Typically, you have enough people around you and you can do fantastic. The part where this falls apart, if it's like a commercial guy in the middle of nowhere, then he needs like tons of city pages.
Yeah.
And if you do too many city pages on residential, you'll actually get a spam penalty probably. Again, get away with a few more on commercial, but truthfully, I'd like to see the commercial guy in a better location too.
Yeah.
Not just in the middle of nowhere in Ohio or in the middle of nowhere in, like, I'm counting states where like Michigan, and like there'll be like massive cities all around them, but all an hour and a half away.
Yeah. And they put their office into like a central
In the
point
middle.
between three big cities.
Yeah.
And they're close to nothing.
They're next to like dairy cows. Yeah. I'm thinking of someone like it was a stuck in the middle of pasture, literally.
Yeah.
Dad was a dairy farmer. There's nothing around, middle of Michigan.
Yeah.
So I don't. There's some things that are just kind of rough, So sorry, I had visions of Amish people moving a barn, like just like, hey, I need how much for that roof? It's like, no thanks.
We do it ourselves.
We'll do it ourselves.
There was an episode of Animaniacs ages ago where they're hiding out with, it was like a spoof of Witness, that Harrison Ford movie where he hides out among the Amish.
Okay.
And it was the Animaniacs hiding out among the Amish, but all they did every day was build a barn. Like they got up every morning and built a new barn. The next day they built a new barn.
I think the Amish are like more impressive with each passing year. Like as everybody gets lazier and this, and they're raising barns and like it's,
as technology encroaches more and more and more on everybody, and they're just like, no.
It's impressive. It is horribly impressive. I watched like a little Instagram short of it. They like literally their barn was already built and they were moving. There was like 100 dudes and they just picked it up, the whole barn, and moved it. It's insane, They're just like, oh, we're gonna move it over here. But yeah. Anyway, so you can fix all this. You can get better ranking where you are. Or you can get in pack 3. I'm very cynical towards 98% of roofers' ability to market in the first place. So if you're somebody trying to do this, you'll probably beat your competition as long as you don't get hot-headed or short-sighted, right?
You just remember one thing: the map pack is 3, and that means that any given person standing in a spot searching for a roofer, Google's going to show them the 3 closest roofers, location-wise,
Right.
provided those roofers have provided Google the correct information. There may be 20 roofers in that area, but not all of them have given Google the right information.
And good regular digital branded signaling.
That's, when I say providing the right information, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so I mean, if you'll just try, most people don't try. So most people are out there trying to do it cheap and temporary, and I get calls all the
They're
time.
either paradoxically trying to do cheap, or they're giving up and doing extremely expensive pay-per-click.
Yeah. We have a lot of good deals nowadays.
Yeah.
I'll tell a story. I try not to tell these stories. I don't know if they come off right or wrong, but I was talking to a guy. I told you about him. That I was talking about a guy yesterday. He said, "Hey, Nolen, I'm just looking for just deep, deep country.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something simple. Something simple. I just want to show up and rank it. I mean, you just need to get it up there and make it simple." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what are you looking for?" "Oh, nothing too big. I got one office in Oklahoma, one in Texas, and one in Florida." And I mean, this is like, huge undertaking,
Yeah.
huge. But he's like, I'm tired of working with SEO. I'm tired of it. And I didn't tell you I got into it a little bit more, but he'd been up and down. You guessed he had, but he'd been up and down with the. He's going to be a client, by the way. But
It's going to be a fun one.
don't have to be so enthused. But yeah, so
It's
he's
a
like,
challenge.
well, I had a website and I canceled it. But he's like, good old boy. So it's like, oh, screw you. And he takes his website down. Well, it didn't screw anyone except him when he took his website down, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that agency lost the business, but
these people
he
will
wasn't paying
go
much,
on,
so.
whether it's a roofer or plumber or any other type of business owner, and they will look at this website stuff, throw their hands up. And it's pretty simple stuff, most of it, but it does take a coordinated effort and a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
They'll go bid people tens of thousands of dollars for roofing, but then just treat it. The scene that comes to mind is Planet of the Apes, when the apes were in control and we're damn dirty web geeks, and the roofers on the horse, you're like, you damn dirty web geeks, like just do your job for, I don't know, I think $80 is enough for you. That's all.
Yeah.
And so since you can't understand it, this is like 90+%. Just kind of crap on the situation. It's like, I don't understand this professional service, so I'm just going to hurt myself and hurt you and hurt the industry. There is almost no one that you can call to get this level of service.
Right.
And people cry and moan about it. And I've gotten very philosophical about it over the many years of anguish of dealing with it. All this stuff, right? Here's the conclusion that I've come to. The reason that there's almost no one like us to call is because all of the people demand cheap crap and lies.
Right.
So that guy that was mad demanded cheap product every time, and would call until someone said, yes, I can get Google to move the red dots where roofers show up an hour away if you'll just come with me.
3 states away.
Or 3 states, whatever it is. And so what ends up happening is that then they'll call somebody else and say, well, he said he'd do it. And I had somebody text me today a picture of he said, well, here's a video of a website they're going to produce. So someone did a template video on a template website to all roofers and then gave it to me to say, like, now what are you going to do? I'm going to put your nose in that pile of shit and see how you like that. So the guy will go from one to one to one and one, and then fall for this stuff and then buy this over and over again because somebody wants to come in and not pay attention, throw a little bit of chump change at it, enough to eat at Texas Roadhouse, not Ruth Chris,
Yeah.
and like, you do me Ruth Chris style and here's some hamburger meat. Make it happen, And
Just keep you up there.
yeah, keep me up there. And so if you'll think about it logically, try to get some good people to work with you. He went on a new program that we have that actually pretty cool stuff where we're going to be able to, we'll be
talking more about it in the future.
We'll be doing some city pages on this one and tying in through DataPins and new parent company, Field 360, or new sister company, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just, if you're the guy that's trying to do this, you'll get up in ranking, and don't get mad or cheat at Google or get mad at Google, or somebody can get mad at Google and said, like, for what?
It's like getting mad at the rain.
What did they do to you? It's like, well, they provided a free platform for me to make a lot of money, and now they won't change stuff the way I want it to.
Nolan Walker here for Roofing Webmasters. I want you to consider becoming one of our clients. We've done this for 12 years, have hundreds of clients. We help everybody with their design, their code, their content, showing up on Google as high as possible. Clients get regular call volume. If you've never experienced what I call the big show, showing up on Google organically, which is where the vast majority of the clicks occur, on your map, your reputation, your reviews, your organic keyword ranking, you owe it to yourself to try us. We even have proprietary software that we own called DataPins that lets you post pictures of jobs, unique captions that increase keywords and long tail keywords, your rankings on Google, text and emailing clients about reviews, even posting pins and photos and captions back to Google All this helps your organic rankings. DataPins is fantastic, and the work we do here at Roofing Webmasters is fantastic. Please give us a call. We'd love to hear from you.
But anyway, if they let people do this, by the way, and back in the day, there was just dozens, or not even dozens, it was thousands of phony addresses and phony business.
Oh yeah, we had one guy, he had 7 Google business locations.
Yeah.
He had one legitimate one, and all of the other ones were his cousins' houses around the town he was in. And bam, one day they all got suspended.
Yeah.
And he was mad at us, and it's like they were all residences.
Yeah.
And you weren't running your business out of there, were you?
Yeah.
Well, Google doesn't know that. I'm like, yes, they do. That's why they suspended it.
Yeah, we were talking. I mean, I was talking about a guy today. It's like we're going to leave one alone. Like I want people to be optimized by God.
Yeah.
Like one of them was, well, I need to move this one. I was like, well, what is that? He said, that's a business office address we used to have. I said, what is this new address? That's a house. Like, what's this other one? It's a house. I'm like, oh.
If we could put you guys in houses and virtual offices and PO boxes and get you guys showing up at the top on a 100 square mile spread, we would do it gladly.
We get people that awesome results, though. They kick
Yeah.
ass. Our clients don't get lied to. I always tell people we're Texas straightforward, Texas respectful.
Right.
Nobody's going to lie to you here to get your business. Nobody's going to coerce you or push you into some sort of transactional one-call close on the phone and try to get you out, beat you out of your money. You know, those people do sign them up and lie to them. And you know what ends up happening? They stay with them for 6 months and then jump to the next person that lies to them.
Right.
And so it actually works for a little while, but when we sign up a client and get somebody and they have great results that they've never had before, our average client stays for years. And so...
And that's what we're going for. We want a long-term relationship with all our clients.
Yeah, I mean, we're not in the business to sit there and do, you know, really poor quality work that gets, you know, subcontracted out of the country and then slap up some crud and then lose the client. We're in for long haul. Money's not really made in short-term relationships like that. Maybe it is if I'm dealing with, you know, foreign country dollars and labor, but we don't do that. And the reason we don't do it, even though somebody might make money at 6 months average tenure of a client, is because it doesn't work. So we've tried to utilize the labor and services, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, this isn't us taking some like principle, like we're angels, principled stand about USA labor only. It's just we've tried it all and it didn't work, so we use what works.
I'm primarily USA capitalist.
Yeah.
Which means I would try out of the country labor in order to better my business, bottom line.
Yeah.
So but American labor is the best there is.
Right.
Because we've gone to many countries and never had good labor. You also can't support your company policies and, you know, your own company culture, all that stuff flies out the window. And really the services, the websites, the content, it's all god awful. The software programming.
Other people's, not ours.
No, out of the country, non-USA is awful. So that's the good news. We are all like Texas-based labor, but it was because when we went through a capitalistic standpoint to better money here, at least for this service, it didn't work.
Right.
You might be able to create this pen somewhere else better, but
not
cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, well, a cheap pen works, still writes. The problem with
generally speaking,
a cheap website and cheap production on that actually doesn't optimize.
Right.
So that's the problem that you're going to end up having. And lies from salespeople don't move the red dots on the map. Yeah. So, guys, if you want to fix all this stuff, we can and will help you. Map optimization is absolutely SEOable, part of what we do. We work within that. We will help you build a stable, strong business, not something you have to lay awake at night worrying about. Help guide you towards that. If you need to have a move or something else, the guy that we talked about early on, we're not moving. He dipped out pretty far, and we're going to put in city pages for him. So I think he'll be thrilled once he sees how much organic was left on the table. That organic optimization, there's so much stuff we could go into. Google calls it low search volume, which sounds really odd because low search volume is 50% of all search.
Yeah.
So
What low search volume means is that they can't charge a lot for ads.
it means that if somebody's searching for GFHD Timberline shingles or Brahma Barrel Spanish tiles, that's not searched very often, but there's a lot of weird ass words in your category all combined that aren't searched very often, that are searched a little bit, is half of all the search that you're missing on a local level.
Right.
When you give a 10-word caption on a data pin and that content gets uploaded to your website automatically like it does to a relevant page like Brava Barrel Spanish Tile Roof Installation on your tile page, you just added keywords that you never had before, and the bulk of all those odd keywords can double your organic traffic and your map pack too, I might add. Like you literally can show up in map pack for validated keywords on the website.
Yeah. That's the whole red dot discussion. That's a situation where if someone says roofer in Jacksonville, they're going to show Jacksonville and a cluster of, they're going to show the 3 closest roofers to the city center or wherever that person is sitting where they search.
Right.
But if they search, what was it you said, the Brava Tile?
Brava Barrel Spanish Tile installer.
Then they'll look at that, where that person's location, and they'll say, well, the only person who has mentioned this is way over here, so we got to zoom the map out and show him because he's the only
there's some
relevant
chances
person
that
to
the
that
map
ship.
might change a little bit based on obscurity of search or just disappear, at which point you're
in some cases there'll be no map, and then those organic things are the only one, organic and your GDP.
This explains to the doubter as to why organic's so strong.
Right.
Because when something gets obscure and there's not enough people to constitute a map pack 3, it'll just disappear, or if it's too obscure, and then your organic ranking's sitting up there. That's what I meant earlier by proper content. It balloons organic beyond your wildest dreams, pretty much.
Yeah, just to drive the point home, if you're talking about an obscure keyword or key phrase like that, not only no mapping, no ads. You're not after the map and after the ads. You're like literally the first thing on the page.
You know what the competition is for a lot of those obscure keywords?
The manufacturer.
The manufacturer.
Yeah. And if you're a local provider, you will appear above the manufacturer.
The only reason that no local people beat manufacturers is because people mess up the concept of content.
Right.
And we don't. Anyway, too much. But yeah. The older I get, the more I describe this, I feel like I get more, I don't go into the detail as much.
Yeah.
I feel like Robert Kiyosaki just yelling and ranting, at some point. Like, you know what I mean? Just start going in. But anyway, we can do all this stuff. Happy to help you. And maps are great. You can fix your map. You can do much better. Probably don't want to make a bunch of money and move to a field in a metal warehouse, which...
Well, you move your house there, but keep your office in town.
Right.
Yeah.
You can even build a metal warehouse and put stuff in it. Just leave your address in town.
Right.
Don't stand down and go, by God, I'm an American and I'll do whatever the hell I want.
And you can do that. You can also go out of business.
Yeah. We've seen it happen, right? There's
Yes,
multiple examples of that over the years. All right, guys, give us a call when you're ready. We'd love to hear from you.
Take it easy.